Hi, hello, welcome. It is time for another weekend video, and it has been a little bit since I have shared books that I have acquired, so let's talk about a February book haul. I have 14 books that I'm going to share today. Most of them came from the Amazon buy three for the price of two. Some of them are books that I already own, I already have, I already love and cherish, but I am purposely buying them specifically for my classroom. Other books are ones that I have had my eye on for quite a while, and I am excited to share them. I know some of them have great reviews, and some of them I haven't heard as much about, and some of them are new. So let's get started. Time out. I made this video with all intentions of not purchasing another book because that was a lot of books to get in like the beginning-ish of the month. The February break came and I went to a used bookstore and I ordered some other things online and I'm out of control. So we're going to kind of bounce between what I had already recorded and what I'm adding to this. Someone remind me next time to wait closer to the end of the month before I record anything, especially when it comes to book hauls. First up is something that is loved and cherished, and I just recently got copies of them for myself. I realized how much I wanted to put these in my classroom, so I bought duplicates, and that is none other than the Grishaverse. I know that I probably still need to get King of Scars and, well, Rule of Wolves I don't even have yet. I'll wait until that comes out as a paperback copy as well before I add them. I adore this series. I love this series so much. I want to be able to share it with my students before it comes to Netflix because we always talk about reading the book first. Not that I think the series is going to be bad because Leigh Bardugo, the queen, was on set, so it's got to, if she has given it the approval, I will accept whatever comes across my screen, but I really want kids to read these first. So these are for my classroom. Keeping with the queen, I had to get them. I don't have them yet, and I really, really wanted them, and they happened to be on the Amazon sale. So I got The Lives of Saints, and I got The Language of Thorns, which I did not even realize, I guess, that this was a book by Leigh Bardugo, but now I know. This one is retellings of different fairy tales, so it has these different gorgeous images on the inside throughout, depending on the story that you're reading. So it looks like there's the Nutcracker, the Little Mermaid, just different retellings of fairy tales. This one, I have waited so long. I knew that it came out. I really wanted a copy of it. It was kind of expensive, so I waited for it to go on sale. I'm so glad I bought this book because it is gorgeous. Like, hello, come on. Every saint has a different illustration with it, and I treasure this already, and I am so excited to read through all of them. These next two books I learned about at the Penny Kittle Kelly Gallagher conference that I went to last March, and they've just kind of been sitting on my wish list. I've been trying to get them through First Book Marketplace, but they just are never titles that are available on there for whatever reason. So I was glad to see that they were titles that showed up on the sale at Amazon. The first book is When by Victoria Laurie. This book is so intriguing. The main character, Maddie, has this curse, this gift, where above everybody's head, she sees the date that they are going to die. People end up coming to her and paying her to tell them exactly when they're going to die or when their family members are going to die. There is one particular client who comes to ask about their son. She tells them that the son is going to go missing on a date, and sure enough, that's exactly what happens. And because of that, she gets pulled into the homicide investigation where they think that she has something to do with it because she knew exactly when this kid was going to go missing or whatever has happened to them. So there's a lot of suspicion around her within this investigation because of this gift that she happens to have. And so she's this suspect, but she also tries to solve the mystery of what has actually happened to this kid. Where has he gone? It says that it is a fast-paced thriller. Penny Kittle was actually book talking a bunch of books, which is where I came up with some of these titles. This one stood out to me a lot, and I have been trying to get my hands on a copy of it. So I am finally glad to have a copy, and I'm excited to report back on it. The second book that she had recommended was How It Feels to Float by Helena Fox. This one stood out to me because it's all about this girl who just has these kind of dark thoughts. She wants to run away. She's just like, in her daily life. Her father ends up disappearing, and any comfort or feeling that she had of just being okay is suddenly gone. So she wonders, is it easier to just float away, or can she try to bring her dad back? Or is there maybe some kind of third option that she just hasn't considered yet? The next three books are all relatively new releases that I just have been waiting for. I just didn't purchase them right away or didn't get a copy of them, and there are three that I'm really looking forward to. Up next is I Killed Zoe Spanos by Kit Frick. First of all, I love that these pages are like painted a bluish color. In this book, Anna, the main character, comes and she takes a nannying job in the Hamptons over the summer, and the community is really on edge. Come to find out, there was a girl, Zoe Spanos, who was murdered, disappeared. It's a whole big mystery, and Anna starts asking questions, trying to put the mystery together. And there's just like a lot of holes. She's trying to figure it out. 2 months later, they find Zoe's body in a lake, and Anna, I guess, confesses to the crime, even though she wasn't there. So I'm not really sure how that all works out, but I'm interested to see like what is going on in this story that she feels like they're connected in some way, and if she really is somehow attached to this murder. The next book is Cemetery Boys. I have no other reason for purchasing this book except that I loved the cover. That's really it. I don't know what this book is about. I have no idea. I told you I am such a judge a book by a cover kind of gal. Yadriel has summoned a ghost and now he can't get rid of him. When his traditional Latinx family has problems accepting his gender, Yadriel becomes determined to prove himself a real brujo. Oh, I like that concept already. With the help of his cousin and best friend, he performs the Quince's ritual himself and then sets out to find the ghost of his murdered cousin Miguel and set it free. However, the ghost he summons is actually Julian Diaz, the school's resident bad boy, and Julian is not about to go quietly into death. Okay, alright. Left with no choice, Yadriel agrees to help Julian so that they can both get what they want, but the longer Yadriel spends with Julian, the less he wants him to leave. That kind of gives me City of Ghosts vibes a little bit, where she befriends a specter after having like a near-death occurrence. I understand that's not quite the same thing. That relationship between the characters seems kind of familiar already to me. I am now even more intrigued now that I know what it's about, and maybe my instincts of judging books by a cover is a good thing. The next new book is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I have heard mixed things about this. People either really, really, really love it, or they're kind of like, it's like it's in the middle. I love V.E. Schwab, so I'm really interested to see where this kind of goes. I am going to use this as a prompt for Pop Sugar Reading Challenge about forgetting. The book starts in 1714, where Adeline meets this stranger. She's under dire circumstances. She pretty much ends up selling her soul of sorts to the devil, and she is able to live forever, but there's a catch, because there's always a catch. When she meets people the next day, they will not remember who she is. So this goes on and on and on for 300 years until one day someone remembers who she is the next day and everything changes for her. The next two books are very new releases, like very, very recent within the month. The first one is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. This book was one I really wanted to be an option when we did the Afrofuturism category for the Teacher Graham Pop Sugar Reading Challenge, but it didn't come out until like a week into February, and I didn't want everyone to have to rush to get it and then rush through because February is already a shorter month as it is. Unfortunately, I had to take this one off, but it still sat in my cart and on my wish list. It has been a while since I read the summary. I just remember I was really, really intrigued by the summary. 16-year-old Decca lives in fear and anticipation of the blood ceremony that will determine whether she becomes a member of her village. Already different from everyone else because of her unnatural intuition, Decca prays for red blood so she can finally feel like she belongs. But on the day of the ceremony, her blood runs gold, the color of impurity, and Decca knows she will face a consequence worse than death. And then it goes on a little bit more about the dangers, and then she has to figure out, is she going to stay? Is she going to leave? Is she going to join these near immortals and learn how to fight? Plus, hello, gorgeous cover. This book actually came in the mail today because it was published yesterday. A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This behemoth of a book is something that I have been highly anticipating, especially because we transition from Feyre and Rhysand's points of view throughout the series. We now move to Nesta and Cassian. There's been a lot of anticipation and buildup behind this book. I am a little scared that it is going to feel like Crescent City for me, where it was really, really slow until the last 200 pages and then boom, everything happened. However, we don't have to do any world building. We're already there. We already know the characters. We can just kind of dive right into it and see where it goes. As soon as I finish Lovely War, this is what I'm picking up next because I have the week off still to read, and I'm going to need that time to make some progress on this. The next book is actually a gift from Kristen for Galentine's Day. It is Sway by Cat Spears. I really don't know anything about this book. I put it on my wish list because Allie shared about the author's biography at the back. Let me read it to you. Cat Spears has worked as a bartender, museum director, housekeeper, park ranger, business manager, and painter, not the artistic kind. She holds an MA in anthropology, which has helped to advance her bartending career. She lives in Richmond, Virginia with her husband and 3 freeloading kids. The author's biography is the reason why I put this on my wish list. I still have no idea what this story is actually about, but it has to be good if the author's biography is that good. In Cat Spears' hilarious and often poignant debut, high school senior Jesse Alderman, or Sway, as he's known, could sell hell to a bishop. He also specializes in getting things people want: term papers, a date, with the prom queen, fake IDs. He has a few close friends, and he never, ever lets emotions get in the way. For Jesse, life is simply a series of business transactions. But when Ken Foster, captain of the football team, leading candidate for homecoming king, and all-around jerk, hires Jesse to help him win the heart of angelic Bridget Smalley, Jesse finds himself feeling all sorts of things. While following Bridget and learning the intimate details of her life, he falls helplessly in love for the first time. He also finds himself in an accidental friendship with Bridget's belligerent and self-pitying younger brother who has cerebral palsy. Suddenly, Jesse is visiting old folks at a nursing home in order to run into Bridget and offering his time to help the less fortunate, all the while developing a bond with this young man who idolizes him. Could the Tin Man really have a heart after all? This book is probably going to be one of my favorites, I think. That description sounds like it's a 5-star to me, and I really, really, really hope that it lives up to that. Okay, so over February break, I went to a used bookstore for the first time in our area, and 2 books I specifically bought for myself, and 2 I bought for my classroom. The 2 that I bought for my classroom, the first one is The House of the Scorpion by Nancy Farmer. I read this book a long time ago. It came out in 2002. This is a really good book. It's more dystopian science fiction. I don't remember too much about it, but I know I don't have it on my classroom shelves. So I purchased this intentionally to share with students. The second book is one I have never read before. I think the only John Green book that I have ever read is Fault in Our Stars. This one is An Abundance of Catherines. I've heard that it's really good, and then other people have said that they've hated it. I don't know. I mean, The Fault in Our Stars was okay. Books that I got for me include Dreamland, which is all about the opioid epidemic in our country. This one is by Sam Quinones, I think. Emily from Teaching Saves Lives had recommended it at one point. I know she read it several months ago, and I just happened to find it there. When I was checking out at the bookstore, the woman who was working actually said that she had read it and it was so well written. She was like, it's heartbreaking and devastating, but the text itself is really well done. So she seemed to think that I would enjoy it. The last book that I got from the used bookstore is The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. This is something I've had on my wish list for quite a while, and I don't know why I haven't gotten it yet, but it was only $10 there, so I can take that off my wish list now. What intrigues me about this book is that the Underground Railroad is an actual functioning underground railroad that helps to get enslaved people to the north. So there is an enslaved person. She's trying to risk her life to get to freedom. While she is trying to make her great escape to the Underground Railroad, she ends up killing a white boy who tries to capture her. And it becomes this whole big thing where they're being hunted now as they're trying to really make their escape to the north. 3 final books that I have gotten. I'm done after this. I'm done. I'm cut off. If I order another book, someone take my credit card away from me. The first book I'm going to share is actually not for me, but I will probably end up reading it at some point. This is the book that Dave requested. What? I know, right? It is called The Night Swim by Megan Golden. They were talking about it at work and he was like, can you get this for me? And I was going to get him the audio version of it on Libro FM, but unfortunately it's an Audible Amazon exclusive, so that wasn't an option. So I got him a physical copy of it per his request. I don't know anything about this book. Ever since her true crime podcast became an overnight sensation and set an innocent man free, Rachel Kroll has become a household name and the last hope for people seeking justice. But she's used to being recognized for her voice, not her face, which makes it all the more unsettling when she finds a note on her car windshield addressed to her begging for help. And then it kind of talks about like she has this new season of a podcast. She goes to a small town. She's investigating. There's mysterious letters. She's being followed. I can see why he was interested in this. He is a huge true crime fan. He listens to all of the podcasts, watches all the shows. Do you know how many times I have woken up in the middle of the night listening to very vivid descriptions of people being murdered? Every night. Every night. At this point, I feel like I'm kind of numb to it. I don't know what that says about me. Anyway, this one is for Dave, but now I'm kind of intrigued and we'll probably pick it up when he's done with it because I clearly have a lot of other books on my shelf that I need to worry about first. The final 2 books that I have were both options for our Teacher Graham Takes Over the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge for March. We were focusing specifically on something that was a YA and it fulfills the prompt of a book that starts with either Q, X, or Z. Do you know how hard it is to find some things that are YA that fit into that realm? Incredibly hard. Anyway, the one that I really wanted, it didn't win. And I couldn't just not get it, which is what happened with Gilded War because I wanted it on there and it wasn't even published until February. It's fine. The winner of our vote was actually X by Ilyasha Shabazz, who is the daughter of Malcolm X. I recently listened to The Awakening of Malcolm X. I know that this is going to be a true winner on my classroom shelf with many of my students once I am done with it. I know that people are saying this is not like the first in the series, but that's kind of what it feels like based on the description. It talks a lot about, you know, his father being murdered, his mother's taken away. He wants to be a lawyer, but he's laughed at for it. So he goes to New York and escapes. And then he starts hustling, but he can't. The freedom he's found is only an illusion. He can't run forever. Where The Awakening of Malcolm X was all post these events and then he would reflect on them. So it may not really be specifically a series of sorts, but it feels like it because of how chronologically they're set up. So that's really cool. I think that this is going to be a fun read to discuss with everyone. The book that did not win, and I'm so sad. The only reason I wanted it to win is because of the title. I am a huge, gigantic David Bowie fan. The day that he died, I was working in North Carolina, and my principal knew how much I loved him because I had a Ziggy Stardust cover on my school laptop as like one of those vinyl skins. I had already sobbed hysterically all morning. She came into my room and asked if I was going to be okay or did I need to take the day off. I think I'm going to be okay. But if you hear Bowie blaring from my classroom in the office all day, I'm not sorry. The title of the book is Ziggy Stardust and Me. I don't really know much about this book. The cover alone is it's gorgeous. So it's 1973, Watergate hearings are in full swing. Homosexuality is considered a mental illness. There's a 16-year-old boy, Jonathan, who's bullied, anxious, asthmatic. He has an alcoholic father. His hero is David Bowie, and he guides him through his life, he has this like alternate reality where he is a superhero, an astronaut, he's Ziggy Stardust, and he's completely normal. Normal. So he's at this place where he's getting treatments for his mental illness of homosexuality, where he meets Webb, who is the Lakota boy, and Webb is pretty much everything that Jonathan wants to be. He's fearless, he's fun, he's not ashamed of being gay. Jonathan wants nothing more than to be fixed, but Webb kind of shows him to appreciate who he is and to be himself. So I will probably get to this maybe in April, over April break, and add this to my TBR. If you have read any of the books that I mentioned today, I would love to know what your thoughts are and your opinions about the books. Thank you as always for watching. Stay tuned next Saturday for a new TBR video.